She's a seasoned trial attorney, a criminal justice reform advocate, and a familiar face in the Lowcountry legal world, especially to our Fox 24 News Now family. For over a year, Allie Menegakis and Menegakis Law Firm have joined us weekly to help us make sense of our legal system. But today, we're turning the spotlight on her. Allie, thank you for being here. We're setting aside the casework, and we're looking at the woman behind the work today. So I'm very excited to talk about you and to dive a little bit deeper into Allie Menegakis. So how long have you been practicing law?
It's 11 years this year.
11 years, wow. And you got your bachelor's in criminology, correct? Was there a moment in your life, maybe when you were younger, or did it run in the family, that you kind of had that passion for criminology?
Criminology, no, but I think I've always had a passion for helping the underdog. You know, I was blessed. I grew up in a Greek family. You know, Nick and I are cousins, and we're very dynamic, extroverted, passionate family. You know, have a lot of confidence. You know, my mother was an attorney when I was growing up. She went to law school when my brother and I were little, and she did fantastic. And you know, she was never afraid to speak up for things when they were wrong. And so I think that was instilled in me at a very young age. So when I would see that stuff happening in school or bullying, things like that, I tended to try and help.
So you think it just kind of, you always had a feeling you were going to get into law, or that was the plan when you went to college?
I did not at all.
Really?
Actually, I started undergrad as a music major. I played the trumpet. I was very into band and music, and had a scholarship to the University of Florida as a music major. I ended up dropping out of that because I didn't think I was good enough to go on professionally. I didn't want to be a music teacher, and I kind of wanted to find out what I wanted to do. I was never one of those people that knew what they wanted to do. And you know, you ask about what things made me think. I took one class in college. It was like a criminology and law class, and we read a paper on the prison industrial complex. And that is really about how, you know, prisons and governments make a lot of money off of incarcerating people. I mean, we have the highest incarceration rate and numbers in the world, one of the highest. And so that really opened my eyes to that. I took more and more classes, and then eventually decided that I wanted to go to law school, but didn't decide I wanted to do criminal defense until I did an internship with the public defender's office in law school.
And so you moved to Charleston in 2018 from Palm Beach County, where you practiced for quite a while.
Yes, I was there for about 6 years, I think, as a public defender, doing trial work there. Yeah, I loved that job.
What pushed your move to Charleston?
Well, like I said, Nick Menegakis and I were cousins. I grew up in the summers. My grandparents, you know, at a time they spent a lot of time up here, and I would grow up hearing stories. It's just a beautiful place, and I kind of was like, now or never. And I'm so glad I did, not just because I love living here, but also because there's a lot of work to be done in the criminal justice system here. And I feel like we just need more and more people to push for that.
And you expanded work to include civil rights and personal injury. And in 2020, or 2022, excuse me, you launched South Carolina for Criminal Justice Reform.
In 2020, before George Floyd happened, it was like January of 2020. And you know, the reason that I did that, you know, I had been a public defender for years. I joined the public defender's office here when I moved here, and recognized that there were some serious problems with our system here, and procedural system. We've talked about a lot of them. You know, lack of attorney-led voir dire. I mean, no speedy trial right here. And I wanted to spread awareness about that issue and move for reform. And then George Floyd was murdered. We got a lot more attention, started diving more into that kind of stuff. Jamal Sutherland, we talked about, did a lot about you know, mental health in the court system, and then with that death penalty legislation, we spoke to legislators in Columbia regarding that bill. But it's been great. There's still so much that I want to do. You know, I also, you know, I do that in my spare time, and I'm an attorney first, and represent clients in the civil court and the criminal court. But there's a lot of work still to be done.
I want to ask you, when you look back on the life you've lived so far, is there a proudest accomplishment that comes to mind?
You know, Taylor, that's such a hard question for me. I think I would probably say that the most fulfilled I feel, at least in my work life, is when I'm able to fight for people that have never had anyone fight for them before. You know, I did work in the juvenile delinquency system, and I would, you know, be in a courtroom with this young person here, and there were so many different people in the courtroom, between the judge and the social workers and the school, and everyone was kind of against this child. And a lot of times, sadly, even the parents were against the child and just wanted to give the child to the court. And that's our job, to zealously advocate, and these clients really have never had that before, and they deserve that, and they have a right to that.
And a lot of the times these clients are coming to you, and it's probably one of the most challenging times in their life.
It is.
But I have to say, I don't think I would want anyone else in my corner other than you if I was going through that. So, and we didn't get to it, but you play the trumpet, the piano, and the guitar, so we're gonna have you on our Spotlight Music Series.
Oh no.
Allie, thank you so much for being here, and as always, we appreciate you, and I know our Fox family does too.
Such a pleasure. Thanks, Taylor.
We're back in 2 minutes.